CBC knows no shame. I'm Brian Lilley with TheRebel.Media. Well, the state broadcasters doing their best to protect Justin Trudeau once again, this time by threatening the Conservatives over their use of some of CBC's material in a political ad posted to YouTube. Yes, YouTube. It's bad enough that CBC promised to block ads with news clips from their airwaves. Now they want to control the internet. And just like in the other case, they don't have a legal leg to stand on. Let's back up a bit. See, a couple of years ago, Justin Trudeau said something stupid to Peter Mansbridge about the Boston Bombers being people who were obviously excluded. And the Conservatives used that in an attack ad.
There is no question that this happened because there is someone who feels completely excluded.
How can you make excuses for terrorists and keep Canadians safe? Justin Trudeau, he's in way over his head.
Well, that ad annoyed CBC anchor Peter Mansbridge, the guy that conducted the interview, and so Mansbridge raised the issue with CBC News boss Jennifer Maguire, who started calling around to the other news organizations, and she got the other broadcasters to act as a cartel and then sent a letter on behalf of all of them to the political party saying, "We won't run your ads if they use any of our news footage." Quote, "As news organizations, the use of our content in political advertisements without our express consent may compromise our journalistic independence and call into question our journalistic ethics, standards, and objectivity." No, actually, your news coverage does that all on its own. What Maguire and the other broadcasters didn't argue was copyright infringement because, as she admitted in emails I obtained through access to information, that claim wouldn't stick, and CBC's own lawyers were telling her that. Here's an email she sent to the other broadcasters. "In the past, we've all argued against using this legally, using copyright infringement. Our legal team is confident with the shifts in case law with regards to fair dealing, this might not be a successful route." A part of the reason they didn't have a leg to stand on then in their attempt to protect Justin and the Liberals is that back in 1998, it was the Liberals suing the TV networks who had tried to stop ads that used footage from the leaders' debates showcasing John Turner taking on Brian Mulroney. The Liberals won that case. The networks had to air the ads using the footage. The Liberals' lawyer, a man named Alan Lufty, who went on to be appointed Chief Justice of the Federal Court of Canada, said this at the time: "It's a victory for Canadians, for broadcasters, and for the political parties. And I mean broadcasters because they should be relieved to be out of the position of having to censor advertisements of political parties." They should be relieved, but they're not, and they're still trying to censor, even though legally this is a settled issue. The network should simply be airing ads using news clips, but they refuse, and the Conservatives would have to take them to court to change that. Well, that day may come because now CBC is trying to stop the use of short clips in ads that appear online in places like Facebook and YouTube. Last week, Trudeau said something dumb to CBC once again, and the Conservatives pounced and put it in another ad, this time online.
If elected, would you pull the CF-18s out of Kuwait, say, okay, we're not going to do the bombing anymore?
Yes, we'd move away from the CF-18 mission to...
Move away from the CF-18s, that is a yes, right?
Yes,
that you
it
would
is a
pull
yes.
them out. Okay.
Yes.
If you don't want to bomb a group as ghastly as ISIS, when would you ever support real military action?
Terry, that's a nonsensical question.
CBC isn't happy again, and Maguire is back at it. Now she says, "You can't use our stuff online." No one, no individual candidate or political party, and no government, corporation, or NGO may reuse our creative and copyrighted property without our permission. This includes our brands, our talent, and our content. Canada's broadcasters will defend vigorously both their property and their journalistic reputation from illicit use. Except it's not illicit use, and the parties can use it. As I said, this is settled legal precedent. But don't take my word for it. Michael Geist is a law professor at the University of Ottawa. He's also a regular commentator on media and legal issues for many media party outlets. On his website, he says that while there's plenty that he objects to in the Conservative ad, an ad that uses some of the footage ISIS has put out and then juxtaposes it against Trudeau's comments, well, he says the use of Trudeau's comments is actually fair game. Quote, "The CBC is simply wrong. Its guiding principle is wrong, and its attempt to use copyright to take down an offensive advertisement is wrong." He goes on to point out that the Conservatives are doing everything they're doing is well within existing copyright laws. Again, from his blog post, in this case, there are several arguments that the use is permitted under the Copyright Act. First, the clips run for about 22 seconds out of a 13-minute interview. As the Copyright Board of Canada discussed in a recent decision, an infringement claim only arises where the copying involves a substantial part of the work. By implication, an insubstantial amount does not give rise to copyright claim. The Copyright Board ruled that 2.5% of a written work is insubstantial. In this case, a total of 22 seconds amounts to 2.8%. There's a plausible case that the clips involved are insubstantial, don't even trigger a copyright claim. And then Geist goes on to point out that there are other ways that the Copyright Act protects what the Conservatives are doing, such as pointing out that you can use even longer clips for journalism or education or criticism. The Conservatives could certainly claim criticism, perhaps they could try education, but what Geist shows once again is that CBC and the other media outlets, all acting in lockstep like a cartel, have no legal leg to stand on. None. And yet, after trying to censor political speech and political ads on their own networks, they're now trying to censor the internet, asking Facebook and YouTube to remove the ads. Well, I hope these online giants do the right thing and tell CBC and the rest of the media party where to go. If they don't, well, this will likely end up in the courts where the media party will portray the Conservatives as bullies, where the Conservatives will actually likely win because right now the law is on their side.